Hi everyone, this is Sherry Rice Smith of EFTforchristians.com. Before I begin, remember that tapping is not a substitute for sound medical or psychological advice. So if you do need help from a physician, please do make that phone call. Today what I want to discuss is absorbing other people's mostly emotional problems. Obviously, whatever's going on in someone's life usually has an emotional impact on them. So are you a person who usually feels really bad inside and or physically when you hear about other people's problems or stories? Are you someone who it's like you attract people who come tell you all their woes and they just go on and on and on and you just react to them inside feeling really awful for them? So before we begin, and I'm reading my cheat notes as usual, so if it looks like I'm looking sideways, it's exactly what I'm doing. I want to give you a couple of definitions real quickly. We often talk about being empathetic. I finally realized, probably 6 months ago, with the help of Kathy Riley, that maybe empathy isn't really the best thing, because the definition of empathy is that we actually share other people's feelings. We understand their predicament, almost like it from a first person personal level, and we have really strong feelings about the person's problems and the person themselves. We step into the other person's shoes, so to speak. You know, that old thing of walk a mile in their shoes, or that's what we do when we're empathetic. We take on the pain of their problem ourselves. And what that actually does is drives up our own stress level. And why is that? Because our limbic system in the back of our brain honestly doesn't know the difference between our own stuff and us listening to someone else's problems. It thinks it's all ours, and so therefore it drives up our stress level. What this does is it drains us emotionally, and we get tangled up in the problem itself to the point where we're doing so much more feeling that we actually aren't really often really of any tangible help. Now it's interesting, and I'm not going to get into the physiology, but the difference between empathy that I just described and compassion actually activates different parts of our brain. It's like two completely separate activations. So the definition of compassion is you feel sympathetic toward another's difficulties without actually physiologically and emotionally experiencing their feelings. You feel sorry for them, but you're not really feeling the pain. You just feel bad that they're having this issue. We can react at that point from a distanced place, like you feel bad for them, but you're not pulled into the problem. And that's from the place from which then, because we're distanced, we can actually be of some help, and that's called, we can pray for them. That's the intercessory prayer part that we can then participate in. So, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, I think that we need to learn to be compassionate Christians, not empathetic Christians. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how perhaps you can begin that process where you can feel bad about a person's problem, but you're not pulled into the person's problem. So, and also just another thought. I think it's the compassionate part that's what Jesus did. That's what Christ did. He was compassionate, but he didn't get into it and participate in it. He just did something about it. And that's the piece with the prayer. Okay, so one, always tap while you're listening to others tell you their problems. Just tap. You could do this clandestiny. You can do it with your fingertips. You can put your hands behind your back and tap on your gamut point or your fingertips there. There are multiple different spots on your body that are acupressure points, and I've talked about that in the other videos. You can pick those up there. And if you can, and you have a friend that will tap, remind them to tap while they tell you their problems. Because again, if as we tap, the Holy Spirit takes that opportunity to drop our stress level, and then into our head comes the solution often to the problem. You'll get an idea that you never in this lifetime would have thought up on your own, because it isn't your idea, it's the Holy Spirit's idea. Okay, that's in the moment thing you can do. So is there any couple of different memories where you couldn't eat or sleep after getting some news or hearing a story or even watching a movie? Sometimes you watch these crazy, I call them hack and slash movies, where there was a big mystery about how something occurred and someone got hurt or killed in it, or there was a horrible accident. That's my husband's term, is hack and slash. But sometimes those things, we ruminate on them and they just run through our head, and we're trying to go to sleep, or we're sitting during the day and we're not getting anything else done because this crazy scene's running through our heads. Tap about that and tap that to a 0. Thirdly, where did you learn that it's good to take on other people's problems? So did you learn that from your mom, your auntie, your grandma? They were like the big problem absorber in life. And what are your feelings about that? And sometimes they took on everyone's problems and didn't pay attention to you because they were too busy dealing with all these other people that may have been more on the periphery. Tap about your feelings on that and where and when you learned that. And then lastly, and I'm sure there's tons of other things I could tell you to try, but lastly, begin to pay attention to what your physical being feels like when you're listening to others. And tap on those body sensations, because sometimes, all of a sudden your heart starts to ache, or you get a headache, or your nose starts to run because you're feeling, like tearing up. And tap on all that stuff. And if any associated memories or events pop up with that, then obviously, you would want to deal with those in tapping. So this should begin to retrain us to become what I call a Teflon Christian, not a Velcro one. I don't want to absorb everyone else's problems. I have enough of my own as well as you do. So I'm happy to listen. I'm happy to help when God gives me that opportunity, and obviously motivates me to do so. But otherwise, I don't mind feeling compassionate, and I feel sorry, and I'm willing to pray. But sucking up the emotions of other people in reality helps no one, because it doesn't give them a boost, and all it does is gives wear and tear and causes stress on your own body. All right, I hope that helps a little bit. Come visit me at EFTforchristians.com. If you have questions, feel free to email me at EFTforchristians@gmail.com. We have a Facebook discussion group. We just recently, in December of 2019, put out a second EFT for Christians devotion book. That's all available from the publisher or from my website. Please, if you could possibly don't, other than Kindle you have to buy on Amazon, but any of the print copies, please buy them off of me or buy them off the publisher. All right, have a wonderful day. And come ask questions, and I can get you a Christian practitioner referral if that's something you need to, get some more of your heavy-duty stuff moved. God bless you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.